The air around Saddle Creek Road always carried the scent of damp pine and fresh mountain air, wrapping itself tightly around the weathered logs of the isolated cabin. For Cole and his pregnant wife, Anne, the secluded property felt like a hidden sanctuary, a quiet haven where Anne could escape the bustle of the city and cradle her growing belly and find fresh inspiration for her art. It was a stark contrast to the dark history that lingered within those walls. Years ago, Jesse, Cole's troubled, solitary grandfather, had ended his life with a shotgun blast on the very front porch where he used to sit for hours. A reclusive man who cherished his privacy above all else, Jesse had been a permanent fixture of the porch, perpetually clad in his worn leather cowboy boots and his signature Stetson hat, with only a bottle of harsh whiskey and his loyal black cat, Tom, for company. Though the family had kept the cabin clean and livable, no one had ever been able to bring themselves to sleep under its roof again, until Cole and Anne arrived that crisp spring. At first, Anne was enchanted. She loved the rustic beauty, the profound silence, and the gentle creak of the old floorboards. But Cole was a construction worker, constantly driving over the road for days or weeks at a time, left entirely to herself deep in the woods with no neighbors for miles. Anne began to realize just how isolated they truly were. Months slipped by. Anne's pregnancy advanced, and the quiet solitude began to curdle into something unsettling. One evening, descending the creaking wooden stairs into the damp, shadowy basement with a heavy wicker basket of laundry, Anne felt the first true spike of dread. After loading the rumbling washing machine, she hurried back toward the stairs. Midway up, an ominous, suffocating pressure slammed against her back, a chilling sensation of invisible mass pressing straight through her spine. She bolted up the steps, bursting into the hallway, and froze, clutching her chest as she tried to catch her breath. "It's just the isolation playing tricks on my mind," she told herself, desperate to rationalize the terror gripping her bones. Later, seeking relief for her aching pregnant body, she drew a warm bath scented with lavender Epsom salts. Wrapped in a soft robe, she walked down the dim hallway and stepped into the dining room to switch off the lights. She froze dead in her tracks. Ice-cold chills raced down her arms as the heavy, unwelcoming presence returned tenfold. Reflected plain as day in the glass doors of the antique china cabinet was the silhouette of a spectral cowboy, wearing a wide-brimmed hat and heavy boots. The phantom stared back at her with an absolute, palpable resentment, making it unmistakably clear that she was an intruder in his domain. Terrified that Cole would think she was losing her mind, Anne decided to keep the encounter to herself. When Cole did return, the heavy atmosphere vanished. Anne reveled in the safety of his arms, lingering over morning coffee to discuss their week feeling completely protected by his presence. But his homecomings were always agonizingly brief. All too soon, another job called him back out over the open highway. The moment Cole's truck disappeared down the gravel drive, the cabin's oppressive shadow settled back over Anne. The true nightmare began in the dead of night. At 3 a.m., a sharp, heavy knock rattled the front door. Anne jolted awake, grabbing her cell phone to check the glowing screen. Who could possibly be out here in the middle of nowhere? She thought, her heart hammering against her ribs. Slipping her feet into her soft house shoes, she crept across the chilling wooden floorboards of the hallway. She peered through the glass of the front door into the pitch-black porch. Empty. The porch was completely vacant. "I'm just imagining things," she whispered to the dark house, her nerves frayed. "The quiet is driving me crazy." Retreating to the bedroom, she tried to drift back to sleep. Just as exhaustion finally began to pull her under, a chilling sound sliced through the silence. The deliberate, heavy thud of cowboy boots pacing across the floorboards outside her room. Panic surged. Desperate for answers, she walked to the bedroom window, slid the glass up, and leaned out into the chilly night air to search the darkness. Suddenly, a sleek black cat leapt straight through the open window from the porch's roof. Its yellow eyes locked onto her with an unnatural fury. It launched itself at her, claws bared. Screaming, Anne scrambled backward away from the creature as it chased her viciously across the room. Snatching a heavy broom from the corner, she lunged forward, sweeping wildly until she managed to herd the feral animal out of the door. Shaking violently, tears streaming down her face, she dialed Cole's number. When Cole answered, frantic and sleepy, Anne sobbed out the terrifying details of the attack. There was a long pause on the line before Cole whispered, voice laced with disbelief, "That's so strange. I've never seen a black cat around this cabin in my life." Then a chilling realization hit him, except for Grandpa Jesse's old cat, Tom. Too terrified to close her eyes, Anne stayed on the phone with Cole through the remainder of the night, his voice keeping the encroaching darkness at bay, until the first pale streaks of dawn cut through the windows. When the sun finally rose, the decision was instantaneous. Witnessing the profound toll the haunted cabin was taking on his pregnant wife, Cole put his foot down. They packed their belongings that very day, fleeing the oppressive solitude of Saddle Creek Road. Once again, the cabin fell entirely silent, left behind to the wind, the whispering pines, and the eternal ghost of the cowboy and his black cat, Tom.